Horses and Heroes, our partner up there in Shawnee, Kansas, with Julie Baker, Shannon Danley, one of our equine partners. We've got 4 of them, hard to say, maybe 5. So equine, and then Valley Recovery Program in Kansas City too. Here's Shay Sparks, everyone.
Well, thank you, Brian. I want to thank Brian for letting us be here and for all the volunteers who put this on. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. And I just want to say, so my name is Shay Sparks. I am a speaker, author, and coach, and I am the CEO, Chief Excitement Officer of Sparks of Hope, LLC. What I do is I help people transform their trauma into treasure. And how I do that is by really taking them through what forgiveness looks like. Because as you know, like Jacob had mentioned earlier, when you're beating yourself up so bad, the first person you have to forgive is you. And then you can forgive others, and then you can ask God for forgiveness through everything. So I met Brian online several years ago, and in December I said, hey, I want to know your story. And so he's like, okay, great, I'll be in Kansas City next week, let's meet. I said, okay. So we met with a couple of other people, like Shannon he had mentioned. And what's really funny is he had no idea why I wanted to hear his story. I said, well, I actually have a podcast called The Power of Investing in People. So I would like to interview you. Christmas Eve, I'm interviewing him. It was awesome. He shares his story. He talks about his recovery. And I said, funny, I have the same story, except I wasn't a veteran. But I have my own trauma that I overcome. And he went, wow, that's amazing. Why don't you come to this event in May? And I wrote it on my calendar, and I said, I'll be there. He didn't know that or remember that. And so, what was it, just a couple weeks ago, I'm like, hey, I'm coming down. He's like, that's amazing. So here we are. And what I really want to share with you is trauma is trauma. PTSD affects everyone, not just military, not just first responders. It's literally everyone. So that bully in the school, they've had trauma, and hurt people hurt other people. So what they have to have is some sort of recovery. People who are addicted to something, and I myself, I spent most of my teenage years drinking, and I was drinking every day at 15, and by 16 I got a DUI. By the time I was 23, I finally quit drinking. So I've only, been sober like a year or 2. Actually, it's 20. And I say that because if there's someone listening who goes, well, I don't even know where to start. It starts with one day, right? And then that becomes the next day, and that becomes the next day. And before you know it, you've had 20 years of sobriety behind you. What's so interesting about our stories is that after talking with Brian, I thought, how many people have some sort of trauma? It's like almost everybody. They might not look at it as trauma. They might look at it as just something that happened, a circumstance. Well, what happens when you have a circumstance is that then your thoughts start. I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve to be here. That beating yourself up. And then you have a feeling. And the feeling is despair and depression and desperation. And I can't go any further. And then you take some sort of action, or almost take some sort of action, like Jacob had said, and Brian has talked about, and I almost did myself. So if you have some sort of circumstance that causes some sort of stress or trauma in your life, you have to reverse engineer that. You have to look at the way that what you're almost about to do, and look at your feelings and acknowledge them. Even if it's awful, even if it's depression, even if it's like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. You have to think of, look at that. What is it that I'm feeling right now? And then go, what is it that I want to feel? I want to feel happy. I want to feel loved. I want to be surrounded by people who support me, right? So then you have to take different steps in order to have different results. So then when you start feeling different about yourself, your thoughts become different, your actions then become different, and your results are different. And because Jacob and Brian did not go through, I did not go through, and there's a million more people who did not go through their suicide. They're here today making a difference. And that is how you turn trauma into treasure, by sharing your story, like these guys are doing every day, inspiring others, like they are doing every day, and other people are doing every day. It's really about getting down to, like Brian said, eye level, sharing how you have healed, sharing what you have overcome, because what that does is it gives permission for the other people to forgive, to heal, to look at their own life and go, wait, if they can do it, so can I. And that is the power of investing in people. So I hope that you leave here today and you go, who can I share my story with? And you find someone, and you just, when you see them having a bad day, you just reach out and say, you know what, I've been there too. And this is what I did. And it doesn't matter what steps you took, what recovery you found, what support system that you found, but you just share your story. Because that is where the healing process begins, is when you bring it out of the darkness and you bring it into light. So Brian, thank you for having me and allowing us to be here and bringing light. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the last things that Shay said that captured my attention right away is many of you guys know some of my story of recovery, right? I started playing football for the first time since I was, here in Mustang in high school and middle school, playing semi-professional football at the age of 43. Made the Oklahoma City Jaguars as a tight end. And, Shay, so that's why I share my story, is my mom sitting right here will tell you, I'm just like the next guy. I really am. I'm the next guy that just volunteered to do service work. Really your average Joe. And but with my recovery and getting out of that fog of addiction and clearing the brain, I'm able to do things, like playing semi-pro football. And now I'll be and allowing people like Justin Cook to put up with my antics, to be honest with you. And some of you guys know I'll be in the upcoming movie, The Turkey Bowl. It'll be out in theaters nationwide this Thanksgiving. One of the scenes is I'm clotheslining Matt Jones from Breaking Bad, and Barry Switzer's my coach, Alan Richardson's my quarterback, John Beasley's the ref. And then my second film will be coming out sometime. They usually take about a year and a half, but that is called Ari, or Adventures of Ari. And 2 weeks later, after we filmed it in Tulsa, it got picked up by Lionsgate. So it's just a matter of getting out there, believing yourself, starting your story of recovery, and removing negative people, places, and things from your life, and surrounding yourself with good, awesome, honest individuals like everyone here today. So that's what one of the things that Shay said that really brought home to me that I wanted to share with you guys.